Hello and welcome to Touchline from myself, Casper and Mark Cameron. Hello, Mark.
Gus, nice being back.
Yeah, definitely. After a couple of weeks that we actually couldn't have Touchline on air, we are very privileged to be back.
For sure.
Mark, quite a bit to go through this evening. We've got some schoolboy rugby, some good games played over the Easter weekend.
Yep.
We've got Varsity Cup, URC, and then some club rugby, some decent club rugby that was also played. Wonderful to see everybody back on the field. Wonderful to see from schoolboy rugby right through to URC that everybody is involved now.
No, definitely. We've been watching URC and Curry Cup and all of that for a while.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see the youngsters at schools getting the
Yes.
opportunity, and even more so with all the Easter festivals happening. That
Yes.
we haven't had in 2-3 seasons.
Some big schools that participated in some of the festivals. There's only 4 festivals that I just want to highlight here, and the first one is Kes, King Edward School in Johannesburg. They had some big names playing there as well, and some good rugby being played. Some big scores and some tight games, very tight games, and good rugby to watch. And good to see that the boys, after 2 years of almost no rugby, actually playing some good, decent rugby.
No, for sure. And yet again, just coming back to that, the opportunity that these youngsters have had, I think they were all, they're still like that. They're all hungry to participate in tournaments. And then obviously to put their hands up for Craven Week, so that we haven't seen in a while either. And it's just nice that all these schools make festivals like this available for them.
And they're nice to see that there's some teams that travelled quite vast distances, like Durbanville participating in Kes,
Yep.
the Kes Day or the Kes Weekend, and some decent rugby that was played. Queen's College also participated there. Then also another one that was St. Siddians that hosted quite a number of big schools like Bishop and Grey High, Maritzburg College. I mean, it's some good rugby that's been played there as well.
No, definitely. And as I said, similar to the rest, they had some schools participating from all over the province. All the schools that hosted had that privilege to get and welcome the guys back.
From all over the country, yeah.
I said province, yes. My apologies, from the country.
From all over the country, yeah. And really some good rugby played, and you could see the coaches as well. They all hyped up and ready to go, and they just wanted to get the boys out there and see what they can do.
Yeah, definitely.
If you look at a Michael House that played St. Siddians at a 36-3, unfortunately to St. Siddians, Michael House playing some good rugby, decent, good players in that side.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, the Durban-based clubs or schools that went and played over there, I think they're all. But what is great about these festivals, you play over a period of 3 days.
Yes.
So you play at least 3 games, and then some you win, some you lose. So there were some close games, and I think a few upsets here and there as well. So
They were. I mean, if you look at Maritzburg College, 36 against Grey High, which was a surprise to me. But Michael House did very well in this tournament. They won all 3 of their games quite handsomely. It's just the Maritzburg College Michael House was a 33-32.
it was like a local derby.
It's a local derby.
Played away from home.
That was a good one. And then St. John's also had some good schools there. They had Boerland Landbou there. Couple of good ones. They had a Lions Invitational side, which also played some very, very good rugby. They had Welcome Gym,
Paul Roos, Paul Boys High. So
they had
some quality schools there.
Quality schools and quality schoolboy rugby that was played. And I think it's brilliant to see this kind of initiative from so many different schools over the Easter weekend to actually get all these schools together. And then obviously hats off to the schools that actually made the effort to come and participate in these schools. I mean,
definitely.
It would have costed an arm and a leg to get all these boys there where they needed to be, and to host them and feed them and house them. And so hats off to all the schools that made it happen.
No, for sure. And other than the cost involved in that, the hosting schools, there's so much logistics that need to
Yes.
take place. It's not a
100%.
thing that you organize over a week. You know, you're looking at referees, you're looking at medics, you're looking at accommodation, you know, and so on and so forth. And then, obviously, then in KZN, we had the Kersney Festival,
Yes.
and hats off to them for hosting it, you know, basically in the same week with all
Even-
the floods.
Yeah, even more so to the schools that actually took the chance of bringing those boys to the
KZN, yeah.
disastrous Natal region and Durban
Yeah.
region to actually participate. And I mean, they played in rain almost the whole
Every
weekend
day,
through.
yeah.
But some good rugby as well. If we talk about Pretoria boys versus Marlow, Pretoria winning that one 21-10 against Marlow. Waterkloof against Noord-Kaap, Northern Cape. Waterkloof beating them 27-7. I mean, there's some brilliant rugby. And then our own Durban High School,
DHS,
Durban
yeah.
High School against Dr. Ege Jansen, which is one of the top schools in the
Yeah.
country as well. And DHS walking away with a 2015 win there.
Yeah. I think the biggest surprise was when DHS and Monument played.
Yes.
You know, but well done to all the Durban schools participating in that, and old Ronnie, big Ron,
Yeah.
Ronnie Ace, well done to you guys.
Yes.
He's so
definitely.
passionate, and you know, and he's back at DHS now, and they've actually done very well. But you know, we had a few teams playing there, like Westville, Boys Eye, you know, and they've got a few new coaches there. We've got Zander Erasmus that
Yes.
left Kisvach School here on the South Coast to join Westville, and it's just great to see all these teams participating, and it's nice to see all the schools doing well, but the so-called lesser to the higher schools, if it makes sense what I'm saying, they put their hands up, you know. So
Tier 2 schools,
yeah, no, 100%.
You know, hats off to everybody. The quality of rugby, I mean, we were talking about it and we spoke about it a couple of times, about the quality. What would the quality of rugby be when schoolboy rugby starts up again? And looking at these Easter festivals, it just shows the quality of rugby is still there. Obviously, hard work behind the scenes for the coaches to get these boys to actually play. We must also just remember that the boys that played here now for 2 years didn't have any rugby, and they were in the underage groups when COVID struck.
Yep.
And now they've got to play first team rugby. That's and the quality that came out here is absolutely phenomenal.
No, definitely, and some big schools, you know. So, and
Yes.
yet again, well done. And just to reiterate to Kersney for making
Yes.
it happen after all the rains and so on and so forth. I mean, I don't want to be back at school now to see what that field looks like after fielding all these teams
I don't
over
want to
a
be a
weekend.
groundsman now.
But no, well done to all the schools and,
Yes.
and all the teams that participated throughout South Africa.
And even the schools that we haven't mentioned today, hats off to you guys as well. We have seen some of your scores in the schools that played
Yep.
there, and very well done. I think it's a feather in the South African cap to see that South African schoolboy rugby is up and running and of very high quality.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Then, Mark, just a quick rapid fire questionnaire. Can I throw you under the bus here?
Gosh, yeah, no, let's go. I don't know
Let's
what you're
go.
going to ask me. Next time, just
Okay.
send it to me so I can do my thing.
Your first car?
My first car,
Yeah,
Opel Kadett,
Opel Kadett. What do you drive now?
Nissan, Bucky.
Nissan Bucky.
Yeah,
Pizza or pasta?
definitely pasta.
Why not pizza? Nah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Italian food is better than pasta.
Food you absolutely do not welcome on your plate.
Wow. I'm not actually fussy when it comes to that, so
There must be one thing that you don't like. Come on.
not really.
Best holiday destination?
Cape Town.
Cape Town.
Cape Town.
Why not Mums and Toti?
Because it feels like you're on holiday. That's where we stay. So no,
Dream
Cape
job
Town.
when you were little?
Dream job.
Yes.
A vet.
A vet.
Veterinary.
Where you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Moment on the field you'll rather forget.
Okay, so this happened a few years ago when I was coaching the Sharks under 18 side. And as you know, coaches aren't allowed to get involved in fights.
Yeah.
So I didn't get involved in a fight, by the way. Let me just put it out there. So the players got involved in a fight, but they took it off the field. And then I tried to get involved to stop them. And I was nearly punched, and then I got a yellow card for getting involved. That was my first tournament as well.
You should have known that.
I've actually had a better one than that, but yeah, we'll leave that for later.
Leave that for later. Favorite book?
Favorite book? Is that a real question?
It's a real question. Favorite book? Come, you must read something.
Our Toti rugby book.
Yes.
The Heart
well
of the
done.
Terriers.
10 out of 10 for that
Thank
answer.
you. You want to ask that question again?
Career highlight.
Career highlight?
Yes.
Coaching.
Being appointed.
Nah, coaching rugby. That's
Coaching
my
rugby.
highlight.
Highlight.
Being involved in coaching rugby.
Not being the head coach at Toti.
That's a highlight.
Okay, cool.
But yeah.
Thank you. Now, let's move on to some varsity.
That was very quick.
Varsity Cup. Yeah, but I've got to stop you. Otherwise, we'll stay here for the whole night.
Okay.
Varsity Cup.
Yeah.
Varsity Cup games played. The last couple of games that were played. Ikeys versus Marties. Shimla's Tucks.
Those
Some
were the
good games.
semi-finals.
Those
Yeah.
were the semi-finals. Some good games there.
Yep, definitely. And, you know, the Ikeys Marties one is obviously was a local derby. And I think we spoke about this before to say Marties wasn't really on fire throughout the tournament, but they definitely took it to that semi-final. If you look at that score of 58-19.
Yeah.
And well deserved. I think they're going to do well.
It was a good game.
And, yeah,
Marties Tucks currently playing.
correct.
Yeah. Can't wait to see that
Yeah,
score.
we will...
And then just talk about the Shimla's game, the Shimla's Tukkies game. Shimla's, we spoke about Shimla so many times, about Shimla's coming to the fore now, and they were like hot and cold throughout the season, throughout the Varsity Cup.
yeah.
They started well, but then they were like hot and cold, and we actually thought that they might get through the semis into the final, and then Tukkies in Bloemfontein went and
upset
the apple cart there.
Yeah, so, you know, knowing Sways de Bruin and our head coaches, and they would have been prepared. But we did speak about this to say, you know, both Marties and Tukkies have been in the finals and semi-finals for many, many, many years. Shimla's have now started curving upwards again, so they've had a phenomenal season. I mean, the way they started, and that maybe it's just a step too far. Tukkies, it wasn't a great game to watch, that specific semi-final. It was very tight and close and whatever. And I think Tukkies, just the way they managed it, and they obviously used their opportunities. Yeah. And unfortunately for Shimla's, but Shimla's will be back. Definitely, they now know that they can do it. They know that they can play well. I mean, they in the beginning they gave Marties a hiding. So they can do it. So unfortunately,
have you had a peep at the game currently playing?
No, unfortunately not. And hopefully,
prediction there.
I definitely think Marties will do it, and hopefully we can before the show ends we can tell you guys what the score was.
Hopefully, let's have a look and see. Then moving on to some URC. The URC quite intense at the moment. Our local team's doing very well at the moment. We had a couple of weekends now in a row where we had 4 out of 4. Unfortunately, this weekend past, we only had a 3 out of 4. The Lions,
pass rate.
Yeah, it's still a pass rate. The Lions getting stuck there.
Narrowly, though. Narrowly.
They did
could have
well.
gone
They
either
did
way.
Well. Your thoughts on the games? If we can start with the Stormers Glasgow game.
Well, that specific game, especially in the first 5 to 10 minutes, and that I thought it was going to be a long day for the Stormers. I think Glasgow Warriors actually did very well, obviously scoring first. But I think when the Stormers finally managed to get over the whitewash, I think that just turned on the switch, and they just started playing. And what was good about that, many players put their hands up, and we spoke about it a few weeks ago about the Springbok camps that were arranged over the last 2 weekends, and that where certain players hadn't been involved, and it's all over the news. I mean, a guy like Evan Roos put his hand up and he said, "You cannot leave me out."
Yeah, but once again, I think you and I spoke about it last week somewhere that we got to give Ninabe and Erasmus a
Definitely.
fair chance to pick their players, to look at certain players. I think a guy like Evan Roos has proven himself in any case.
Yep.
Why do you want to invite him to a camp to come and prove himself if he's already proven himself? He is one of the best eighth men in the country
Sure.
at the moment. Everybody knows that. So I think my personal opinion, and this is my opinion, is that they've invited guys that they want to have a look at, that they want to work with, and that they want to see what they can do. Evan Roos stands out and he's there. So why do you want to do that? But yeah, unfortunately he wasn't. He wasn't asked to come. He wasn't invited. So.
Well, Rassie Erasmus went on Twitter and congratulated him. He says, that's how you prove yourself. So
100%,
there we
but
go,
exactly my point.
So, no, perfect.
If we can carry on with the South African games, the Bulls Benetton game.
Yeah, look, that could have sparked the Bulls to play well, because obviously the Bulls lost to Benetton in the finals last year in Italy.
Yes.
We all thought it was going to be a tough game in South Africa, which it was. I mean, if you look at the scoreline and that, the Bulls, I won't say ran away with it, but it was a comfortable win for them. And Benetton definitely didn't sit back, but it wasn't a difficult game, put it that way, for the Bulls. And we know they're starting to hit form. They're peaking at the right time for now. But they still slightly behind. There's still a bit of work for them to do to make sure that they get into the playoffs. So they know. And another week or so, then they go back to Europe. So this is the time to produce.
Yeah. We spoke about the European sides that didn't tour well in South Africa. Yeah. None of them. I mean, even the top teams didn't tour well in South Africa. Yes, we could say that the first couple of games they didn't have their Six Nation players or their national players in the side, and then thereafter they didn't send those guys, although they had them available. And we could go through all of these excuses, and but still they didn't travel well. What would you put that to? Why didn't they travel well in South Africa?
Look, it's very difficult to say. I mean, different coaches and provinces, and in their case clubs as they call it, train differently, and they set different targets. And I look at Leinster, and we'll get to that just now. Yeah. Leinster brought the understrength side because they target certain other things, So I think it differs. Similar to South Africa in the beginning when we went on tour, the first 4 games, it was foreign to us. We didn't know what to expect. The players that had gone on international duty before knew what was going on, but you don't. I mean, in our case, some of our teams hadn't analysed the opposition either because you don't know of them and so forth. And I think it's the same. A lot of these teams, when they come, they go and play the Lions, for argument's sake, at altitude. They would never have experienced that before, So I think there's a few things that take place, depending on when they fly into the country, how long they've been here. So a lot of times you only have a day or two to prepare, and then you need to play.
Just something that I thought of now. We spoke about the artificial surfaces that they played on in
also
Europe.
Makes a difference.
And now suddenly those guys, the European teams, got used to those artificial surfaces. And now they're coming to South Africa and they need to play on grass. And grass, we all know, underfoot, especially in Durban, is quite soft. It gives way quite easily. So the scrums become difficult. The running conditions are more difficult. You haven't got that firm underfoot.
Yeah, fair.
Do you think that plays a part?
It would definitely. I mean, when we went overseas, we had to adapt to playing on synthetic grass. Yeah. So, and that was one of the things. I mean, Jake White was very vocal about that when they went overseas. So definitely, I mean, they even spoke about, I think it was a host that injured his knee because his foot got stuck, yes, according to them now, and that wouldn't happen on normal grass. So it definitely, it's like playing hockey on grass and then going into AstroTurf. It's a massive difference. But yeah, I think in the professional era, and you rightfully so said that it's not an excuse. Yeah. It is like that. And the teams that are playing, teams battling, or that bring under-strength teams here, the local sides then need to take advantage of that. And I think that's what we've done.
Let's go to the Lions Canuck game. Lions 30, Canuck 33. Your thoughts?
Yeah, sadly so. I mean, the Lions, look, they'll take it. Obviously, they got a bonus point out of that or two. I think it's a game that they would have targeted as well, being on the up. And they've won quite a few games now. They would have targeted that one to say they're going on tour one of these days. They need to beat them. Yeah. And the Lions obviously came back quite well in that game because they were out of it in the beginning.
Yeah, they went down 14-0.
Correct, right quickly. Off the bat. And, it's sad for them. But, if you lose and you take a bonus point or two out of it, it's great. But to lose at home, it's a bitter pill to swallow.
And the Lions actually did well up until now. I mean, they had 3 out of 3.
No, they've
3 games in a row, and now they lost this one narrowly. And I think they could have taken this one.
If we go back, I don't know, about 10 episodes or 15 episodes where we had Ricardo Lopes in the studio and we spoke to him actually from Europe, he also said new coaching staff, new structures, and they started believing and developing and so on and so forth. And the first game that they played in Europe, they won. They were the only South African team to win. And then we thought, okay, here we are. Although they played against one of the weaker sides, with respect to them. And then all of a sudden, it's as if the wheels fell off, not massively, but there was a little bit of a dip. And, what he spoke then compared to now is actually it started playing its part now.
Yes.
And, this was Connacht is a great side. So, absolutely nothing wrong with that, especially when you look at where the Lions are and how they started turning around. And we will still see them play. Obviously, they're out of the playoffs, unfortunately. Yeah. But they will still do a few of the South African franchises favours going forward, definitely.
And then our big one, Sharks, Leinster. I mean, a lot of people didn't give the Sharks a chance to beat Leinster at home. They thought that Leinster's going to be way too strong.
Yeah, look, I think if we speak to Sean Everett, he'll take it. Obviously, every coach will take a win like that, especially against a quality team like Leinster.
I did speak to Sean, and he says his nerves are shot.
Yeah,
he hasn't got nerves left, especially in that last minute.
But if you have to have him in studio now and analyse it, I mean, we'll all, as coaches, we'll all take the win. That's just a quality side like that as well. A win like that pushed us right up to 3rd position on the log. So there's many positives that came out of it. The concern, however, is that they left so many of their players at home. And at times, and I think this is part of where the Sharks are, I mean, we've played some phenomenal rugby in patches. And then we do whatever we do and maybe lose concentration or whatever the case might be, and allow them back in and do silly things and game management and so on and so forth. I mean, we gave away some silly penalties at a stage, so all those little things cost you against a great side like Leinster. I mean, they're not Europe's top side for no reason. They proved it. They came here with the understrength side and they pushed us right to the wire. And hats off to the Sharks for wanting to win that game. Right at the end, they defended like Trojans to keep Leinster out, and Leinster knew, Senseless, I mean, they gave away 2 or 3 penalties in that same time. It's Senseless going to polls because the game is done. They've already got a bonus point. They kept on hammering away, and ultimately the Sharks won the turnover and won the game. So that in itself would give them great confidence. But as Jake White said, it's an unfair ball game because they come down here with the understrength side, playing the Sharks this weekend, Stormers next weekend, and then the Bulls take them on in Ireland the week after that with a full-strength side. But that's the nature of the beast. You take it as it comes, but when that happens, you need to make sure you get maximum points.
Jake just needs to make sure that he's got a full-strength side.
And with everything, I mean, if whoever goes to the finals will be playing with their full-strength sides.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's how you want to play rugby. You want to beat the best with the best. And, the Sharks have a quality side. I still believe that there's still lots of improvement there. And they themselves, when they hit their straps, whoever they're going to play, would be a great game because we haven't seen the best of the Sharks yet.
Definitely not. Talking about the best of the Sharks, we were talking about it. Sharks taking on Glasgow Warriors on Friday night. What do you think?
No, look, it's going to be another tough one. But I think definitely think we can do it. You refer to
The
the Bulls, you mean?
Bulls what
So
Glasgow.
I think it's going to be another tough one. But as we've now seen, and I've referred to this over the last couple of weeks, Fort Loftus,
Yeah.
the Bulls will back themselves because they know they have to take this one to stay in the hunt. They're there and thereabout with regards to semi-final or playoffs, and they need to keep winning.
Lions Benetton.
I think the Lions will take it. Benetton, as we saw against the Bulls, won't lie down.
Yeah.
But I think the Lions have done enough to give them that motivation and to know that they can, because they have been playing some quality rugby. So I think the Lions will take it.
And then Sharks Canuck. Do I have to ask you that one?
Yeah, no, I think, look.
Sean, this one's for you.
Yeah, Sean, I back you 150%, yeah. I think the Sharks will take it. But it's going to be another tester. But you know what you want, going into the playoffs, if we make it, which I believe we do, going into the playoffs, you want to play tough games. Yeah. You want to fight it out to know that you back your system, that you back the plans, back the structures, and fight to get in there. You don't want to make it easily, because in the playoffs it's a different ball game. Then the odd kick or the odd bounce might do it for you.
And then Stormers Leinster.
Yeah.
Now you've got to think carefully.
Yeah, look, the Stormers are playing some phenomenal rugby. I mean, in the beginning of the URC, well, before the URC, everyone wrote them off. Yeah. Dobson has definitely made a couple of changes, whether it's a psychological change or whatever. Their back three are phenomenal players. They know how to play. Damien Willems all of a sudden is hitting his straps. So that's going to be a good one. Having said that, Leinster, as we saw on Saturday, regardless of who they've brought down, they've today just had another player joining them. So they're not going to be easy. But if the Stormers play the way they did, they will definitely take it.
Do you think this is a chance for the Stormers, for the Sharks now to jump the Stormers on the lock?
Only if the Stormers lose.
Only if the Stormers. But do you think Leinster's going to allow?
No, look,
two in a row?
I think Leinster, they're a quality side. They're a proud side. So I don't think they would have taken the loss lightly. They're youngsters that have now come through. When I say that, they had a few internationals playing for them as well. Yeah. So it's not as if it's I know everyone is saying a B side. Their B side is a quality first side, if it makes sense what I'm saying.
I don't think any club of this nature.
I think it's going to be a tough one, and the Stormers will not underestimate them for the simple reason that they pushed the Sharks right into the end. I mean, that Leinster was leading at one stage, and the Sharks had to fight and dig deep and whatever. So I think it's going to be a tough one, but I don't know, but I'll give it to the Stormers.
Give it to the Stormers, cool. Let's have a look and see. Then, try of the week. I think for me personally, the try of the week was the Lions game. Kane Prendergast, that try that he scored as a number 6, hanging off, standing in position where he's supposed to be, waiting to defend, and then catching the defenders offside by coming back at them and running a perfect line to beat the Lions. He beat 2 defenders to go over. It's not really a flank forward's job to score tries, but the line that he ran, the vision that he had, the step inwards to take all the Lions or to get them on the wrong foot was absolutely phenomenal, to see how a flank forward can beat the backline like that.
All I want to ask is who passed him the ball? Backline player.
Backline player.
No, yeah. No, 100%. Look, more often than not, when you look at people that stand out as your wingers or whoever scores the tries or whatever the case with proper tackles or someone working, you don't often find your tight forwards or whatever getting man of the match, for argument's sake, and when you're talking about Lions and pace and beating defenders and that, more often than not, it goes to a backline player, centers or wings or fullbacks or whatever, and 100%.
That's the reason why I say that I picked this flank forward as the try of the week, is because your centers and your wingers, that's their job. It's their job to beat the defender. It's their job to run the line. It's their job to go and score tries. That's what they're there for. That is what they practice. That is how they play. Flank forward's job is to go fetch the ball, to make sure that the ball's secured, that the ball's recycled, and that the ball comes back. For this guy to go and run that line and to have the vision. And I mean, he was in position to defend. He was in position where he's supposed to be to do his job that he's normally. And he just had the vision to change the line, to change his running direction, and to beat the defenders. And he did it so cleanly that it was absolutely brilliant to watch.
No, 100%. And give them their due. You know, they don't often get the space.
Yes.
They don't often have the pace to do that, you know, and the strength to go with that. So, yeah, no.
He just did a phenomenal job. I think that stood out for me over the weekend, and all the games in the week over the weekend that one was absolutely brilliant. Then, if we can move on to some club rugby, the same as the schools, as we said in the beginning, all the clubs are back on the field. Absolutely brilliant to watch again. Very nice to see the clubs, and also some big scores and some very tight games. Brilliant rugby being played. Unfortunately, in the Durban sub-union, couple of games that didn't take place. Unfortunately, our game as well. Yep. We had to ask to postpone the game due to wet fields and the fact that there's no training facilities now. The fields are too wet. They're still waterlogged. They're still waterlogged as we speak. So it's difficult to train. I know you had your guys running at the Civic Centre in the car park.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, it is what it is, you know, and you need to adapt to whatever you dealt with. I know Crusaders, Durban North were also affected by that. And but it is what it is. So we haven't trained properly or at all, basically, for the last 2 weeks, you know. But yeah, that is how it is. But just thankful and grateful that club rugby is back on, and it was those that did play on the weekend was actually enjoyed.
It was good, some good rugby, yeah. In Boksburg, we had the Boksburg Owls playing Vereniging. Welkom played Crusaders Bloemfontein, which was a big score. They come away with a 90-3 win there. Also, maybe, you know, players, club rugby that didn't play for a long time. The players are not quite on form, and you can see clubs that actually worked a little bit harder than the others, and scores like this will definitely be on the cards. But then you have games like Postmansberg playing Hartswater, 32-33 to 32-31 to Hartswater. Close games, two small clubs, small towns, but brilliant to see the guys on the field and thrash it out.
No, that's what you want. You know, you want the guys to be back on there. You want the youngsters, the under-20s, and that to start playing rugby again to fill these teams. You know, so I think in the last 2 years not having it, it's actually left a void. Yeah. So it's difficult.
And then Pretoria Rugby Club and Louis Trichardt, Pretoria walking away there with a 24-17 win. Brilliant to see that as well. It's just phenomenal to see all the clubs back on the field. And then if we can come back home to all our clubs here in KZN, very well done to all of you that actually made it out and played. It's brilliant to see the clubs back here. Premier League, we had two games in the Premier League. Unfortunately, we didn't play. Durban Collegians played against Richards Bay. Durban Collegians walking away with a 24-10 win there. And then a big upset, a very big upset.
Oh, it depends who you're talking to.
Yeah, it depends who you're talking to. I would just want to say to Jeff Harper, don't cry too long. Carry on, your team won. It was Durban College Rovers versus Westfield Old Boys. Westfield Old Boys walking away first game in the Premier League this year.
Yep, and well done to Rob Scott and Johan Stander and the guys from Westfield Old Boys. Everyone knew that Westfield Old Boys is a decent side, so I don't think there was any question about that. Derek Heiberg obviously wouldn't be too happy with
No,
what happened.
definitely not.
But there's a few things that one needs to have a look at here. And firstly, and it's not an excuse, and they wouldn't have used that as an excuse either. And maybe we can just touch on it quickly after this. The club rugby that took place a week ago in Pretoria that the Bulls arranged.
Yes.
Like an Easter festival type of thing, but a week ago in the Easter, so it is like an Easter
But
festival.
let's talk about it. I mean,
Okay.
that's part of Rovers. Is
Part of this,
part
yes.
of Rovers. So
So
let's talk about it.
So obviously the Bulls and between Jake White and Strauss, obviously they had this vision
Yeah.
of getting the Easter festival type of vibe back on, and they invited, I think it was 2019 because there was no club rugby taking place.
Yes,
So
of
whoever
course.
won their respective leagues throughout of South Africa
Yes.
was invited to participate in call it that Easter festival, whatever the tournament was called. College Rovers of Durban obviously was the champions then, and they were invited to go up. So it was the same week as the floods.
Yes.
So the Rovers left Durban late. So they arrived in Pretoria. They couldn't play their first game. So their first game was obviously cancelled. Yeah. And then they played on the Saturday. They played against Naka Bulls in the pouring rain. They lost that game. And on Monday, they played against Pretoria Harlequins and narrowly won that game. Then, obviously, they had to travel back on Monday. They arrived here late Monday evening. The Tuesday, because of the traveling and the playing and whatever, was basically like a flush-out session. And on Thursday was like a captain's run. So, and I'm not defending it at all. I'm just saying one needs to put it into perspective.
Yeah.
Westville Old Boys, rightful winners. There's absolutely no two ways about it. But it does take its toll. Obviously, we know how all the cogs work and the chemicals involved in all of that. Rovers have depth. They have a phenomenal club, phenomenal system. But on the day, they weren't good enough. You know, they had, if you look at that game specifically, they had opportunity. But if everyone tells you from Westville Old Boys, there's one guy that stood out, Gavin Scott.
Yes.
He kicked them into submission. And the proof is in the pudding. And well done to them. You can't, you can't change the scoreboard. It is what it is. And having said that, though, and well done to Gav. As far as I know, and I might be wrong here, Rovers outscored them 3-1.
Yes.
It just shows you yet again, if your scoreboard management is on point, and your kicks go over and you
100%.
make the right decisions, regardless of how many tries you score, there's a possibility of you winning. And your forwards specifically, they want to see the ball, the scoreboard ticking. So well done. And then obviously Westville has now sent out that message to say we're not here just to make up the numbers.
Yeah, and on the other side of it, I think Rovers is definitely not going to underestimate any other side going forward in the season.
Yeah, look, I don't know what happened. I don't know if they did underestimate them or not. I mean, they're a phenomenal club, but I can tell you, if I was a coach, obviously there's pride at stake here and you wouldn't want to lose and all of that, but I'd sooner lose my first game of the season and know where to fix and what to do than lose the last game and maybe get knocked out in something, So Rovers will be back. They are a phenomenal side. So, well done to them.
And then also, First Division, some good games played there. Hillcrest versus Harlequins. Hillcrest walking away there with a win, 28-5 against Harlequins. Also, some good rugby.
Yeah, and well done to Harlequins. They've just been promoted to the First Division.
Yes.
So, I wasn't fortunate enough to see the game, but obviously it's different intensity levels. There's many things that could take place in that specific game. Hillcrest is a quality side. They obviously also going through a change. They got change in personnel and so forth. But First Division isn't the easy division either. So but well done to them and well done to Hillcrest.
And then if we can talk about under 20s, Varsity College under 20s, taking on the Southern KZN Academy side.
Yep.
Under 20s, and they walk away there with a 50-6 win. I know Dougie Lumbers was quite upset on Saturday evening about it. Couldn't believe it because the week before they did so well.
Yeah.
They played brilliant rugby the week before, and then they came a bit unstuck here
Yeah, look, Varsity College, they're a good side. I mean,
Oh, good side. Very
they've
good
had
side.
quality under 20s, and we're talking under 20 now, so
Yes,
I'm not
under
taking
20s.
anything away from the seniors. But the under 20s have been good over the past few years, you know. So one thing that Dougie spoke about was consistency,
Yes.
being up one week and down the other week. Obviously, we don't know what happened, but can't take it away. But I do agree. I mean, no team likes to lose by 50. It's not a good score line, regardless of what happens. It will give Varsity College lots of momentum and lots of belief, and then maybe just a question mark in Southern Natal rugby, you know, and Port Shepstone, and they would think, South Coast Warriors would think, wow, maybe we must tweak there or tweak there, but early days, season has just started.
We'll follow this and see how it
Yeah,
how it
no,
progresses.
definitely
And
over the next few
I think
weeks.
it's going to become very interesting to see all these teams now develop and grow into this. Once again, I'm going to say the same as what we said with the schoolboy rugby. It hasn't happened for 2 years, so these guys all need to now get back into it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And then some third division, Queensborough playing Bafana, yeah. Queensborough walking away with a 25-5 win.
Not Bafana.
Not
Or
Bafana,
Gwenny
Bafana. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and well done to Queensborough. You know, so in at their level, they are also one of the leading clubs, and the Van Bouillons have been part of Queensborough Rugby
Yes.
Club for many
Many
moons.
years, yeah.
And well done
Well
done to them.
Yeah. Very well done. Mark, and that's a wrap with the club rugby. Thank you very much. Just wonderful to see everybody back on the field, seeing everybody playing rugby again. Wonderful to be back and in full swing. I know you've got some serious challenges ahead that you've got to deal with before we can get back on the field. So all the best to you as well, and all the best to all the teams, and especially the Durban-based teams. All the best. We'll meet you on the field.
Yeah, no, definitely, and always a pleasure being back, and may rugby be the winners at the end of the day. That's why we all do this, what we do, and we love it.
Yes.
So yeah, and obviously Toti are playing Crusaders on Friday night.
Yeah.
And then Rovers are travelling to Richards Bay Friday night, and that's going to be a tough one.
That's going to be a tough
So,
one. Yeah.
and obviously Rovers would want to turn the tables, and Richards Bay, I know they lost against Collegians on Friday night, but it wasn't a big score. I think they would have taken quite a bit out of that, and they're waiting for Rovers.
They had to travel to Durban.
Correct.
All the way to Durban, and now Rovers got to travel to Richards Bay, and Richards Bay in Richards Bay. Never easy game.
No, 100%. But
Mark,
thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the listeners for tuning in again. Really appreciate your time. From myself, Casper Els, and Mark Cameron, have a great rugby week.